Welcome to a journey like no other. A journey into the minds of Roman emperors, told not as cold history, but as living, breathing narratives. I am Cicero, your guide once again, and though I was never an emperor, I stood at the pulse of Roman politics, a voice of reason amidst the storms of ambition. Through this retrospective, I invite you to reflect on the My Life as a Roman Emperor series, where the past found its voice, its heart, and its humanity. From Pertinax to Caracalla, each emperor's story was an odyssey, rich with triumphs and tragedies. But what made these accounts unique was their intimacy first-person reflections that pulled back the veil of antiquity, allowing us to hear directly from the rulers themselves. It was an experience that blended historical rigor with personal insight, as if the very stones of Rome had begun to speak. As we revisit the series' highlights, I'll share not only what made these narratives so compelling, but also why they matter now, in a world grappling with its own forms of tyranny, ambition, and moral challenges. Let's begin with a figure of humble origins, an emperor whose story speaks to the hope that merit can triumph over privilege. Pertinax. If ever there was an emperor whose life embodied the hope of upward mobility, it was Publius Helvius Pertinax. Born the son of a freedman, he rose through the ranks of the Roman army, defying the rigid class systems of his time. His voice in the series was one of gratitude and determination, yet it also carried the weight of disappointment. For even as he climbed to the pinnacle of power, he discovered that virtue alone could not shield him from the machinations of the elite. Pertinax's reign was tragically short, cut down by the very guards sworn to protect him. His reflection on the corruption of the Praetorian Guard remains one of the series' most poignant moments, a stark reminder of how power, unchecked, can devour even the noblest intentions. As we explored his life, a question lingered. Are we, too, captive to systems that reward greed over integrity? Pertinax's story asked us to look inward, challenging us to live with courage and principle. And from this tale of justice betrayed, we turn to a ruler whose reign was defined by chaos, Marcus Didius Julianus. If Pertinax's story was one of hope, Julianus's was a cautionary tale. His ascension to power through the infamous auction of the Roman Empire cast a shadow over his reign. Yet in his own defense, Julianus revealed a man trapped by circumstance, a pawn in a game far larger than himself. The series allowed Julianus to reclaim his humanity, portraying him not as a villain, but as a man caught in the whirlwind of history. His reflections on the fragility of democracy were hauntingly prescient, resonating with our own struggles to protect the integrity of leadership and governance. From Julianus, the series leapt forward to a ruler whose reign remains one of the most controversial in history, Caracalla. Caracalla is remembered as a brutal tyrant, yet his story, as told in the series, was far more complex. He expanded Roman citizenship to nearly all free inhabitants of the empire, an act of unprecedented inclusivity. But his reign was also marred by personal vendettas and the infamous massacre at Alexandria. The series did not shy away from Caracalla's darker moments, yet it allowed us to see him as a man burdened by his father's shadow and haunted by his own insecurities. His voice reminded us that even the most flawed leaders can leave behind legacies of lasting significance. And speaking of flawed leaders, I must indulge myself in mentioning my favorite subject, Caligula. His story is one of tragedy and misunderstanding, a young man shaped by trauma and betrayal. Orphaned by his uncle Tiberius and likely poisoned, Caligula began his reign with promise but descended into madness. Was it the poison that drove him to cruelty? The series left us pondering how history, and those who write it, shape the reputations of the powerful. Through the voices of emperors, the My Life as a Roman Emperor series asked us to see beyond the labels of tyrant, visionary, or victim. It invited us to understand the humanity of those who shaped history and to draw lessons that remain urgent today. As Cicero, I often spoke of the importance of virtue and wisdom in governance. This series brought those ideals to life, challenging us to consider how we, too, wield power in our lives, whether as leaders, citizens, or stewards of the earth. But don't worry, I'll be continuing my series on modern politics, so check that out next. As we bid farewell to My Life as a Roman Emperor, we embrace new beginnings. The upcoming Influential Leaders series will take us beyond Rome to explore figures from all corners of history. Meanwhile, What Every Man Should Know will arm you with knowledge and skills for a fulfilling life. Thank you for watching. Renaissance Spirit is dedicated to a just, equitable, and humanitarian world. Our topics, ranging from history and politics to culture and personal growth, are perfect for the modern polymath. Just as the Renaissance rediscovered lost knowledge and sparked the Enlightenment, we aim to foster understanding, compassion, and stewardship for our shared world. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and explore our videos. Don't miss Santa and a polar bear named Paul, a heartwarming tale that reimagines Santa as a real man in a world of kindness and resilience. Take our Renaissance Spirit quiz to discover how history lives in you, and let us know in the comments what inspires you. Live the Renaissance spirit, because history hasn't died, only our understanding of it.
Hail the dawn of Roman might, golden light on marble bright. Legions march through ancient stone, brave hearts never alone. Fields of valor, valleys deep, through the night our ancestors sleep. Eagle high, a city's crest, in our pride we find our rest. Oh, arise forever strong, in our hearts our empire song. With the lyre and all sound, we lift our voices proud. Voices ring, Senate speaks, the people's king. From the hills to Caesar far, guided by a brightest star. The Colosseum's roar, lions and the gladiators' lore. Triumph echoes through the night, Rome stands in endless light. In the forum voices, in our hearts our empire song. With the lyre and all sound, we lift our voices proud. In the forum voices ring, Senate speaks, the people's king. From the hills to Colosseums roar, lions and the